Guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave It Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with Canadian actress Jessica Amlee, who you may know playing Mallory Wells in the TV show Heartland. We of course talk about Heartland, but also about the other things she has done since leaving the show. That is including being a court-appointed youth advocate. Very, very interesting story to talk about today. So let's get into it now. Before we get into today's interview, we would like to give a shout out to our Patreons, Irene, Bev, and Michael. If you haven't heard of Patreon before, it is a great way to support us and keep us running and improving. You pick a membership tier that suits you and your budget per month, and in return for supporting us, we'll give you behind-the-scenes content and free stuff. You don't have to give much either. You can be a part of our Patreons for as little as $4 a month. Just visit patreon.com/raveitup. You can even donate through PayPal if you don't trust other sites. You can do so just through our email, raveituptv@gmail.com. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We appreciate anything you can do to support us. Now, let's get into this interview. Jessica, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you going today?
Thanks for having me. I'm going so good. I mean, it's sunny outside, near the ocean, so I can hear the waves very, faintly in the distance.
I'm jealous.
So relaxing. You're in Sydney. You got like the best waves in the world.
Well, I'm like an hour away from the best waves in the world. I wish. That would be nice if I lived closer. But as you said,
Sydney.
Behind my head right now, for your view, I've got the waves behind me. So makes me feel a bit calmer.
Very true. Yes.
Well,
very Malibu.
I'm so glad to finally have you on the show. Like, ever since I listened to your interview with our mutual friend, Graham Wardle, on his podcast, Time Has Come, I was like, I need to have her on. And because Graham, I don't know if he has told you, he's been on our show like 3 times. He just loves it. He just keeps coming on, which is fantastic. We love having him. But also we've interviewed, I want to say pretty much nearly all of the Heartland cast now, and you're like one of the only ones we hadn't interviewed yet.
I need to join the club. I'm getting on the bandwagon. I mean, Graham 3 times, you're doing something right. Because Graham has his own podcast, so he wants to be on your podcast, and
he's busy enough,
like a team
right?
Working together. Yeah, he's always got things going on.
Yeah, so you're on a good show if he's been on 3 times. Even Cindy Busby, she's been on twice, so you had to come on eventually.
And I love Graham.
Yeah, me
they're
too.
really good people.
Yeah. Well, I got to keep the Heartland people happy too, so I was like, I need to have Jessica on. Mallory, woo! But before
Mallory Wells.
Yeah, I know. But before we talk about Heartland, I'd actually love to get to know you a little bit better and start from the beginning, if that's okay, to get a good idea of how you've made it to where you are today. You started acting at a very young age, so was it about being at the right place at the right time? Did a talent agent find you? How did you get into it? Or did your parents push you into it?
No, it's a good question. That is a lot of like most of the cases for my child's acting friends. It was their parents' idea because their kids were cute or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, my kid could do that." But my mom, we have nobody in the industry, no one in our family either with my dad. But I was doing swimming lessons and competitive dancing, and I told my mom I wanted to do what Mary-Kate and Ashley did. And because I watched all the mystery movies, and Full House was like my favorite. And so luckily enough, there was an acting agency next door to my dance studio. And so my mom went next door and was like, hey, my kid wants to do what Mary-Kate and Ashley do, like that. And he was like, okay, we can send her out for a few auditions. And so I started auditioning, which was a lot of fun for me. It was always fun, which is why I think there's longevity for my love with acting.
Yeah, definitely. Do you kind of
it started from a good place?
Yeah, do you think because you mentioned competitive dancing too, do you kind of think that helped a little bit because it was already a little bit in that entertainment industry?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I liked performing. Um, but I've never done anything where I've had to dance. And I actually got put in that because it was such a competitive like dance classes that at one point the head of the dance studio was, because auditions had me so busy and then commercials had me so busy, that I had to pick between acting and dancing. I actually had to pick at first between swimming lessons and acting because I was doing too much. So I picked acting, which I say is a good thing because I'm no Michael Phelps. And then with the dancing, it was really hard for me. But I did pick acting because there was just no way. Because I think they were asking like 3 ballet classes, and there's no way I could have kept up with acting. So I had to pick acting. And I'm happy I did.
I'm happy you did too. All of your fans are as
Oh,
well.
thanks.
Looking back upon your career, we're like, wow, that could have maybe not happened if she decided to go down the other path.
Right?
Crazy to think about.
Yeah, and I wasn't naturally like a dancer either. So I feel like instinctually I was like, I think this is the right bet for my future.
Yeah. Well,
But it
looking
was
at
a child's decisions, you know.
because looking at IMDb too, like it said your first gig was in 2001. You would have been like what, 7 around that time?
I think I was 6. I think it was just before my 7th birthday that I did a TV show because I went from commercials to television. And then I actually went union at, I think, 10 years old. And so I quit commercials at 10. I think I did
Wow.
like 60 plus. Well, I did like 60 plus commercials. I did a lot of commercials.
I'm 10
And
and
then I
I'm
was done.
retiring.
I did. I really did. I retired from commercials. Yeah, no, my mom, because you watch monitors, right, to like when we're filming, and my mom was behind the monitor, and I stared at the camera through because I knew my mom was watching me, like, and I just gave her like a look, and my mom's like, "Well, I think this is Jessica's last commercial, everybody." Like,
She knows
bon
you so well.
voyage. Yeah, she was like, "I think she's done. I think we're
Yeah.
good on the commercials." So
She's
yeah,
had
I did
enough.
retire.
Mm.
Yeah, she's had enough. I'm like, oh, I'm jaded. Like, at 10 years old. Yeah.
Oh, you're so funny. I love it.
Thanks.
So, since Heartland, you've actually studied acting, I was hearing in the interview with Graham. Did you find that helped a lot? Do you wish you kind of started that even earlier?
Well, actually, Graham is the person who turned me on to my first acting studio. At the time, it was called, at the time, it was called Cucumber Satellite. It's in Vancouver. Now it's Railtown Actors Studio. Highly recommend for new young actors because they're really, you don't want to have bad habits. I had a lot of bad habits because I grew up filming. And so I never studied before. You know, by the time I was 16, I was on Heartland all the time. I had a pretty good list of projects that I had done. And so I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I got this whole acting thing. And they kind of like opened up wounds and like threw salt in it. And we're like, you know, stop covering your face and like all these bad habits I got. And so that was extremely beneficial. So, and Graham was like, oh, this studio is great. And so I started there when I was 16, almost 17. And then I moved to LA when I was 18 to, study. And I think that was crucial for me. And to answer your question, like, yeah, I do wish I started earlier, but at least I started because I know some actors who are, who've never really studied. And I think that it's incredibly important to grow as a human and as an actor.
Especially if you want to keep getting different roles too. You didn't want to just keep getting roles that are just like Mallory. You wanted to expand.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I can ever have another role like Mallory. I mean, she's such an interesting character that and you know, it's hard to say that she's even a character because I have so much of me intertwined with her, but we are very different people.
Yeah.
Very different people. But there's a lot about Mallory that I wish I was more like, and there's a lot about Mallory that I wish she was more like me, you know, like it's the give and take. It's human.
It's good that you can put your own self into the character as well, I think.
Yeah, I
Tiny
mean that
bit,
can
yeah.
also be tricky too because you don't want to take things personally. So sometimes, especially when I was like 12, 13, I would read the scripts. And if I didn't like the storyline or I didn't, like what Mallory was saying, I would take it personally. But that's
Oh,
just because I was a kid, you know? Now when I read scripts, I'm like, oh, good. Like, she's murdering people. That sounds fun, like fake blood and like all of this stuff. But with Mallory, I did take it personally. So a lot of the emotions of Mallory were my emotions as a young person. And so now looking back on it, I think it is a good thing because it made Mallory more empathetic to young teens and kids. So
definitely.
I love Mallory.
Yeah, I love seeing the passion as you're talking about it. You can definitely see you love it so much. I think an important question
I
though
do.
is, was there any other careers that you wanted to pursue when you were younger too? You said obviously not that best of a swimmer. I don't think you could have done it
Right.
competitively or anything. Don't know about the dancing. Was there anything else like on the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, plan B, I'm going to be, I don't know, an accountant or something?
Right. I always kind of I've always had an interest in psychology
Ooh.
and rehabilitation and therapy. And I think that's something I can still pursue and I do pursue. But it'll always be um a side project. It can
Yeah.
never be everything, but besides being a therapist, um yeah, there really is. Besides advocacy, there's nothing that tickles my fancy
Yeah,
like
that's
acting.
good. You've gone down the right
Yeah,
path. The universe was like, this is your path, Jessica. Go down it.
right.
And you've done it.
Not a swimmer. Yeah.
Exactly. Go down the road, then maybe that might be a better word to
Yeah, right.
summarize. Yes.
Yeah.
So, since a lot of Heartland fans are listening today, I guess we better talk a little bit more about Heartland. They're probably just like, oh my God,
Let's
just
get
get to
into
it
it.
already. How did
But
you
questions.
I know. How did you originally come across Heartland? And was Mallory someone you automatically connected with? As you said, you kind of took some things personally. You must have been like, oh, yeah, I can easily play this character because she's me.
Right. Yes. Mallory was different for me as a young person because she was very outspoken, very in everybody's business, and I was more opposite, more reserved. You know, I liked to think of myself as like polite and professional, and so
Hmm.
that's how I was, and that was like my work ethic that made life on set easier for me if I was in my own kind of world. But with Mallory, everybody's business is her business. And so that for me was fun. And it
Mm.
was funny. And she was sarcastic and dry and nosy and like borderline annoying. Like I remember like reading the first season. They used to have like blogs. I don't know if they still have these like Heartland blogs. They have Heartland blogs and like on the Heartland CBC website. And I would read like Mallory's kind of funny, but she gets really annoying. Like Mallory should stay out of everyone's business. Why does Mallory have to do this? And I remember being like, oh, like why don't they like Mallory? But I was like, but I can't stop. Like there's no turning back. I'm just I have to be more. And so I think I just like accentuated it. But I read Mallory and I was like, okay, I can do this. I went from one CBC pilot and then I actually wasn't originally in the pilot of
Oh.
Heartland. They added me in later because they needed someone in a younger age group because everyone was 15. I think Amy's 15 when the show starts, 15 or 16. And so they needed someone in like the 10 to 12 category. And
Mm.
so I met with Heather. I think Heather, the showrunner, um, I don't know if she was sold on me at first, but I think CBC was like, no, like it'll work out. And then I met with Heather, and she was able to explain Mallory to me and really like dive into, because she came up with Mallory. Mallory was, because all the other characters came from the book at the time. And so Mallory was her invention. So I think it was really close to her heart.
Yeah.
And I think that once I got who Mallory was, I got the show because of Heather. Because she could have been like, no, but it's because she was so sweet and patient, and she explained things really well. And so it became like an objective of mine to like protect this character for Heather.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that. And it must have been really funny, like, behind the scenes, because you said you were a little bit more reserved, and then as soon as the cameras start running, okay, cool, now I can be in everyone's business.
Totally. And she got to say things that I just never in a million years, like insulting people, but like non-intentional, just being like so blunt and honest. But like, yeah, like I wish I had a girl growing up next door named Mallory that was always coming over, always knocking on the door. Like, she kept things interesting.
Yeah.
She stole a ring. Didn't she steal like Lou's ring? Or remember she stole a wedding ring and then she lost it. That could have been like season 2. But she just got up to a lot of shenanigans. And I'm being like, no one would do this. And then I'm like, yeah, Mallory would do that. Mallory would do that.
That was something I loved about her, though. She was just so blunt and honest. And you're like, oh, I wish I didn't have a filter and I could just be like her. That'd be great.
Right?
Oh, it's fun.
It's a good way to live life. Yeah, it was really fun. And then obviously, sometimes you just got to be honest. I mean, there is ways to sugarcoat things, but yeah, there's no sugarcoating with Mallory. But she genuinely wanted to help everybody too. It wasn't like she was being malicious. She was always just trying to get down to the bottom of it. Like, if you two love each other, like, be together. Like, are you guys stupid? Like, be together. Like, just so passionate about her opinions. I feel like Mallory would be a really good politician.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And as you said, she has the right intentions. She does care, and she's just trying to help people out. Instead of having the drama, just sort it out.
Right. And also her being an only child, I think that she missed the family dynamics. And so this was like her way of integrating into the Fleming family, or Bartlett as well. It was just her way of finding her place, was to get close to everybody, as close as possible, even if that was, digging into the truth.
I'm gonna get in there.
She always did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And did you already ride horses as well, or was that something you had to learn on the job?
I did. Excuse me. I'd been riding horses practically my whole life. My parents had a farm just before I was born. But they didn't really have a farm. They just had horses. I think the first time on a horse, actually, my mom had me in her lap and we were just walking around and the horse bucked up.
Oh no. And
my mom fell off the horse and she landed with like me in the air, like holding me like I was Simba. And that was my first experience. And then my best friend growing up, she had a horse. And then I worked at a barn. So I really, me and my 3 best friends, we worked at a barn for like a year when we were like, just before Heartland, we were like 11 years old. And so, yeah, I had tons of experiences with horses and bolting, actually. We were working at the barn so we could get free bolting lessons.
Yeah, definitely helpful.
And it was very helpful. And then I learned jumping on Heartland because I had before, but I wasn't comfortable looking as confident as I was supposed to. Although Mallory ended up like falling like 100 times. It's like,
I'll just do it realistic for you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can do that. But yeah, I loved horses and the whole like family dynamic of the show. It was really easy for my family and myself to be comfortable with what I'd be spending the next few to 10 years
10
doing.
Years. Yes.
Right. So yeah, the horses were a definite bonus. Also, the horses were owned by John Scott, who is Jake Church's grandpa. And so that's how Jake got brought into the show, because he was on set all the time and he was this like real, I mean, he's the real deal, like authentic cowboy. And so because of the horses, Mallory found her husband.
Yeah, it's so cute, isn't it?
As cute.
I'm so glad they put that in the storyline.
Right. And I was like, when they told me, I knew it was going to be Jake, because he was Jake, you know? And I was like 12, and I'm like, I took one of the producers aside. I'm like, because I knew Jake, he was my friend, and I was a kid. So I was like, you just have to promise me I don't have to kiss him. And they were like, yes, like you won't have to kiss him. And then I think they were, yeah, exactly. They were like, she'll be fine in a couple of years. That'll work out. It totally did. Jake to this day is one of my favorite people on the planet. So I got really lucky with that. And his family is the best. The Churches.
How was it actually, speaking of that, how was it actually kissing on being filmed on camera? Was that like really awkward? Are they like so specific? It's like, oh, turn your head this way. Okay, do it again, or do it slower, or whatever. Yeah,
there is like awkward little things like that, like hold your faces and then hold it. It'll feel weird, but like hold for 3 seconds. And you're like, oh. But the first kiss I had on Heartland was actually Graham, and that was terrifying. But Graham is like the sweetest human on planet Earth, and he was like, I was like 12 years old, and Mallory runs up and she kisses Ty, and but Graham was so great about it. He was like, just don't even think about it being me, and like it's just the peck. It's like if you were to come up and like high five me, like it's nothing. Don't even think about it. So Graham is just standing there like this, like like right before, he's just like, you know, trying to like, he was so uncomfortable, but he was great. But that was absolutely terrifying, because, you know, Graham's like my idol, like cool Thai biker dude, and I'm like, maybe he was my first kiss. He could have been.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. And I had to run up. I'm like, what if I bonk his head? Like, what if I do something weird? It was terrifying, but I got through it. And then the next kiss I had on Heartland, it was with Badger and this butterfly. It was a real butterfly. It like flies across us, but they used a real butterfly. And the butterfly, when they let it go, it went on my head and I like freaked out. And so that was like my first like actual kissing experience on screen. And I screamed and ran.
Lovely.
Literally.
Scared the guy, why don't you? Are you screaming at me?
No.
Yeah.
Just a butterfly.
Oh my goodness. They are some funny stories that we wouldn't have heard unless you were on. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah. No, my pleasure.
Yeah.
All my horror stories for your enjoyment.
That's what you're here for.
That's what I'm here for. Yeah.
I'm guessing you kind of watched those seasons back and you cringe a little bit, like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, look how young I am.
Right? I feel like I'm like waiting to rewatch Heartland, because sometimes like the pilot and like the second episode, like it still like warms my heart, but I don't want to, like, I'm gonna wait another like 5-10 years and then I'll like actually go through the series. But I haven't done that in so long that I know it's overdue, but I'm just like letting it be there, like a safety blanket. That if I'm ever like, oh, I miss it, like I can watch it again and not remember it, you know? It would be like watching it all over again, like completely new.
Yeah, being like an audience member, really, not knowing what's going to happen. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Even when I like finished all of the seasons and then I had to wait for the new one because, you know, they were all filming. And I was like,
right,
I'm going to start from the beginning again. And I'm like, wow. Like, you just watch the recent stuff and you're like, oh my God, you guys look so young. It's so cute.
Right? All of us. I mean, Amber was just 18. I think Graham was like 23 or something. He was really young. I was 12. We were all really young. And that made it a lot of fun.
That must have even made that kiss with Graham even more awkward because he was a lot older as well.
Right. That's
like, you're like a big brother.
Exactly. And that's why he was uncomfortable. He's like, this is so weird. Like, why would they write this in? And I'm like, tell me about it. Like, I'm the one that has to do it, you know what I mean?
We got a hard job.
Right. It was exactly that because he was an older brother figure. And so it was just this like really weird thing. But they were also really good at including me to the best of their abilities because of such an age difference. But they were all I had on set, closest to my age, and they did a good job of integrating me into the group, so I always felt included, while still being, too old to be like my friend. Yeah. They were like more mentors, I would say.
Oh, that's really
Michelle too, and Sean. I mean, Sean's however many years older, but
we were chatting for like I think nearly half an hour to an hour after our interview ended, just because he's just so lovely and we're getting along so well.
So he really is a very rare human being. Like his heart is so innocent, like he really cares passionately about everybody and what he does in the storylines. Like it's rare to have actors like Sean because he's different in the best way possible. Yeah,
definitely.
He's just not your typical actor, like he has none of that attitude. He's very like down to earth, like homegrown, like good person. And I think I was closest to Sean than anybody because he really did become like although he's not old enough to be my grandpa because he ages himself for Jack, but he did become like a grandpa figure to me. Right. Because he has that soul, that old soul.
Yeah, he sure
does.
With
the energy of Sean. It's a lot of energy.
Yeah, you can just definitely tell it's kind of him on the screen, but just aged.
Just aged, right?
Yeah.
I miss his one-liners and like his, like when he would do that with like his mustache, he would do like a little side smirk with his mustache.
Yep.
Like, like Mallory.
And I heard he was such a perfectionist too. Like he was the one that wanted to redo his lines.
Oh, for sure. If something was off, he would just like, he would really get all of us to like hone in, like, let's figure this out. Like, we can do this. Like, we'll make it right, Yeah. And I respected that because, like I said, he takes his job passionately. And so everything mattered, which, when the sun's going down, it's like, but then it's always worth it because you watch it back and you're like, okay, Sean was right. They needed that moment.
With how big the show became too, and it's like they say it's become the longest running 1 hour TV drama in Canadian history. That shows like that it is such an incredible show that's just kept going for that long, that you need that quality. It's not just like those other shows that, oh yeah, I can do without it.
Right. No, it's really in the details, which I think the audience and the fans really picked up on, where if you just started watching the show, you might not. But when you begin to know these people and they become so familiar to you, it really is about all the little details, like that keeps people engaged, because it's like, what's Jack actually going through? Why did he just make that expression? What's going on? And so Heartland is very character heavy. I mean, story heavy too, but I think a lot of it is the trust the audience has for the characters and the predictability of knowing they are who they are. Like Jack, we're always going to expect to do the good thing. always be the bigger person, because we rely on that and it gives comfort. And I think that Heartland can be like a safe place to go to when you just need that, when you just need that like stability to watch. There's a lot of murder mystery shows and all of this, and I love all of them, and I like working on them too, but there's something about comfort with Heartland that it feels safe to people because they trust the characters. So Sean was always right with that, with being particular.
Yeah, and you kind of watch it and you go, oh, they're just like my family. Like, there's something to relate with every single character. And as you said, you fall in love with them. Like, how heartbroken pretty much every single Heartland fan was when Graham left. It shows. People are like, what's the show without Ty? Like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I found out about Graham leaving. I think my mom told me. Someone told me, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
and
what are they going to do?
Yeah, and then I saw Graham a couple months later. We went walking on the seawall in Vancouver. We were just checking in, and we were going to do his podcast. And I was like, you know what? Like, Graham did everything he could for the show. And I feel like he needs to go back to Graham, because what a like crucial time of life to commit yourself to a character, early 20s into mid 30s. I was proud of him. I mean, doing 14 years on a show. I mean, that's an incredible thing. Most people don't stay at a job for a year. Yeah. I mean, he stayed committed for, and like, it's commendable to all the original cast of the show. It's just like really commendable to keep growing with the character, and in the process growing as a human, because Graham is doing really great and he's really healthy. And so that he was able to sustain that and be on the other side of Heartland and still be good. It's impressive. And I think it's actually really important. So yeah, I thought Graham was amazing, how long he stood with Heartland. And I think that's because he does respect his cast and crew, and he loves the fans. And I think that's like the main thing. And so yeah, I thought that was like, whoa. I remember just being like, whoa.
Yeah, I was shocked, but I was very proud of him. And I was like, I needed to have him on again. And because heaps of fans were like obviously distraught, but they're also going, oh my God, that's so selfish of him. How could he leave? And I'm like, and guys, just listen to us. We're both friends with him. We know the real story, and that he needed to go and grow, as you just said, Jessica. Like, especially for 20s to mid 30s, that is such a prime time of your life. And he's just played one character. He wants to go do other things.
Right, and he shared that. He shared that time with everyone, and so it's not something that it's private. There's no privacy about it. He's playing Ty, but it's still him. And so it's like a well-deserved step back.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever not going to be involved. Yeah, no, seriously. And I don't think he's always going to be involved with the fans and with the Heartland community, because he genuinely cares. It's just that he's now allowed freedom, and he definitely deserves that. So I think sometimes in life, you have to make decisions that not everyone is going to like. And it's hard to feel like you're letting people down, but everybody has their own life and they're responsible for their own happiness. And that's what Graham did, is he took responsibility for his happiness. Not that he wasn't happy doing the show, but he needed to be happy not doing the show. And he found that. And that's incredible. Yeah, we're proud of Graham.
We are. I couldn't have said that better myself, Jessica. So thank you
good.
very much.
Oh, good. Glad.
So you left around 2013, I've written down here, because you obviously, just like Graham, wanted to go and explore other ventures. And you certainly have,
Yes.
because even between 2017 and 19, you're in the Netflix show Greenhouse Academy as Jackie, series regular for seasons 1 and 2, and then just a guest role for season 3. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet, I'll be honest, but I'd love to know, how was your experience being on a Netflix show? Because I've heard from some people, and kind of like Disney, like they like things specifically. Is that true?
Disney's a good way to put it, but Netflix has less control over their productions because they have more, unless it's a Netflix original.
Mm,
But even then, they have independent productions. But if
yeah.
you have a Disney film, usually it's a Disney production where this is like basically independent contractors is what they're hiring.
Mm.
Um, so they do have like control over what it's going to be rated, what the content is going to be, but they don't really have a control over the production.
Mm.
So I think it's similar and different. Netflix is incredible.
Oh, it's changed the world now, hasn't it?
And really, like, it's so incredible. Like, I love Netflix. I didn't really have like the normal Netflix experience because we were shooting in Israel, in Tel
Wow.
Aviv. So that was an experience. I mean, as soon as I read the role, I've always wanted to go to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And so her name is Jackie. I immediately clicked with her. She's like this convict, juvenile, pickpocketing. Like she would undo locks and stuff. Like she was kind of a genius at breaking into like banks and like all of these things. And I was like, sweet, like that would be fun. And then, spending 3 months in Israel, that was incredible, hectic. I mean, it was insane. It was,
Traveling
I mean,
for work. That's great.
it was a lot. It was long days, a bunch of kids. We were working really hard. And Tel Aviv is one of the most amazing places I've ever been to. I highly recommend people for travel. The food is really great. But yeah, that was a very interesting experience. But I made a lot of really good friends. And it was fun. It was fun shooting somewhere random.
Different, yeah. Well,
Very
hopefully
different.
it's the first of many Netflix shows for you.
Yeah. I think I have a few Netflix auditions actually that I should
Oh,
do this
fingers
week.
crossed for you.
Yeah, no, Netflix is a
Heartland's on
great
Netflix now
production.
too, but
But it'll always be CBC in my heart.
yes. Oh, that's very beautiful. You phrase it that way.
Oh, that's nice.
Now,
But yeah, I think Netflix actually like blew up Heartland in a much bigger way than
well,
any
yeah.
any of us could have anticipated.
Well, especially for us here in Australia. Like, otherwise we
Is
wouldn't
that
have
how
been able to
you
watch it.
watched?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So thank you,
I know.
Netflix.
Thanks, Netflix. I know in certain countries they would have it on cable, um, but yeah, Netflix. Thanks, Netflix.
Netflix makes every show go global. It's fantastic.
Right?
I
Makes
mean, we
the
have to
dream
wait a
work.
lot longer here in Australia, but, luckily,
Oh, that's same in Canada. When I'm in
yeah,
Canada, I like lose
we
a
take
lot of the
forever.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like taking the plane there. That's the time that things transfer. You know?
It's like they have to transfer the file through
Yeah,
plane.
they do. Right.
Luckily, we work in the entertainment industry, though. We can get a lot of things earlier, which is great. So grateful for my job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So, another very interesting venture I wanted to talk to you about today is something you actually spoke to Graham about in your interview. See, I'm just grabbing a lot of stuff from that, so thanks, Graham.
Ah, that's good.
I think such an important topic to talk about today is about being a court-appointed special youth advocate. Can you please tell our audience what that involves, what you do, and then I've got some questions for you about it as well.
For sure. So a lot of youth and young people who are, subjected to abuse, specifically in sex trafficking, which is being put in a situation where sex, but I consider it rape, especially when it's assault, when it's someone that is a youth, where that is traded for money. And so sex trafficking can seem like something that's only happens internationally, but it can be happening in hometowns. It's basically someone not having the right to get out of a situation, or someone being put in that situation regardless. And so what a court-appointed special advocate does is fit the needs in whatever way possible for the survivor. Because when a youth has to testify against a pimp or somebody that assaulted them, the Johns, and this is why the survivors, can go to juvie and get punished and all these things because there's no John to go to. And so when a survivor is actually able to be a witness to try and prosecute these pimps, John individuals, criminals, they get put in a situation where, they have the cops talking to them. And the cops do not have an easy job navigating that, trying to gain the survivor's trust. So, because they're fearful for their life that this person's going to retaliate. And so trying to make the victim feel safe. And then you have the lawyers who are just trying to get the information to actually prosecute. And so sometimes the survivor can get lost in the shuffle of that. Their needs aren't being met because the officials, the attorneys and the police, they're trying to do the right thing for this survivor, but they can't be sitting around or picking up the phone whenever the survivor needs. They have to do what they can to protect. And so what a court-appointed special advocate does is just attends to the needs of the victim. No other job, no other purpose than to emotionally support. And I thought that was really incredible because, going through the criminal justice system, there's so much that you're so confused about and you have no idea. And you're kind of just like pushed into all these different situations. And that's why a lot of the survivors go, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And they get taken back in to sex trafficking because they're not finding the outlet and they're scared, isolated. And so it just stood out to me because I've been through situations and I'm confused and don't know how to, the criminal justice system and all of this, and having someone to go, you're not crazy, you're doing the right thing. This is normal. This is okay. It gives you the drive and the support to keep going. And that's what we need more survivors standing up for themselves.
Definitely.
And we need to supply all the things possible to help them stand up.
As you said before, it's kind of like being a big brother, but in the court system, because you're also legally allowed to be in the room for them to support them.
Right. And because I did look at other ways too. I'm like, how can I be an advocate? But there is no other way without going through the CASA program to legally sit beside the person, the survivor in court. And so, because I can talk about it after with the survivor, but I'm not allowed saying anything while in court, unless it's to console or to answer questions to whoever I'm there for. And so I think that was a good.
How long does it take to do the study?
It's pretty, it's hefty. Like you really, like I filled out an entire notebook of pages of notes because you have to take a test. Because they can't just let anybody, do something like this. You have to study and know what you're talking about. And these are skills that I'll have with me for the rest of my life. And a lot of, the statistics and the reality of the situation, it's pretty shocking. So it made me more passionate taking this course about sex trafficking awareness and advocacy.
I'm so proud of you. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I was like,
Aw,
needs to be
that's really nice.
more people like you in the world, like paying it forward and supporting other people that are going through this sort of stuff. Because sometimes, as you said, you can just feel so alone.
Right. And then there's never a need for that because there's always going to be people that are behind the curtains fighting for you. And I think that's the message I would like anyone to hear listening to this is that it can be very lonely dealing with trauma and abuse. But there, you just like pull back the curtain, like let the light in. And Google advocacy, Google people that will have your back because um, there's no reason to feel awkward or uncomfortable about wanting to speak up and stand for your truth. And also, it's guys and girls. This is not female specific. It is
Mm.
non-binary. Abuse is it's everywhere and it's rampant. And I don't think we'll ever be able to fully stop it, but I think we can make big changes. And I think we already have with Me Too, and there's a lot going on, but things can trend and then they fall out. And
Mm.
this is something that it shouldn't be a trend. It should be a way of life. Like we need to change. And change is only brought by education. So I
Yeah.
think educating ourselves and our school system will prevent a lot of people from being put in these bad situations, but sometimes they're inevitable. Let's give them the education they need to get through it.
Mm. Well, I was going to ask you what else can we do, so you've already answered that.
Oh,
But
good.
dealing with so much like PTSD and probably hearing some of these like horrifying stories being with these people, does it ever take a toll on you? Like, do you still look after your mental health? Does it ever get you down?
Yeah, I think that that is totally normal. Like, it can be, it's like secondhand trauma.
Mm.
Um, and that's why like we're taught to take care of ourselves, to have therapists, because to talk to other counselors and other advocates so we're not alone. It's the same kind of process that survivors take, is to share, not be alone.
Mm.
And that's what therapists should be doing. That's what, because it is a lot, but it's never too much because the reward is so much greater. But it wouldn't be human of me to say that it doesn't affect me. It's how
Mm.
to handle those situations to be better there for someone else.
I love that. You're really paying it forward.
Oh,
I can see your heart. I know that sounds weird, but like it's so beautiful just to see that you're putting them first. And as you just said, the reward is so much greater than, the secondhand stuff that you're getting.
oh, that's sweet. And seeing someone's heart is not weird. That was nice too.
Oh,
Thanks.
I think that's the first time I've ever said that. So I'm glad the first time was
That's
with
really
you.
sweet. Oh, good.
So I'm really glad I brought that up. So guys, make sure if you are going through something like that, to as Jessica just said, Google. I always say Google is like
Google.
our new university. Like, what can't you learn on there? And YouTube.
Right.
And
It's like, you always ask your mom questions. It's like, sorry, mom, I can just ask Google now.
yeah, exactly.
You could be
Ask the
so
other people in the
specific.
world.
Right. But talk
So
to your mother too, or your father. I don't want to say don't talk to your mom or don't
yes,
ask your mom
still
questions.
speak to your parents,
Mom and
please.
then Google. There you go.
Yes. And dad, if he's a great advice giver too.
And dad. Grandpa, grandma, whatever.
So
They get it.
even though you've already achieved so much in your career already, Jessica, what else can we expect from you in the future? Do you have anything lined up? Some stuff that we can expect you in soon?
Yeah, I do have a movie coming out called 100 Lies. That should be coming out pretty quickly. That I'm really excited about. It's about the music industry in Canada, in Toronto specifically. It's very drama filled. It would probably be like PG 13 or something. It's a little more
Maybe M?
racy than
Yeah.
Heartland. Yeah, it's not so much M, but it's a really good storyline, and I'm excited about that. Um, and right now, I'm very heavily considering opening up a production. That's something I
Ooh.
really want to do because I have a lot of writer friends and producer friends, and we all have these like great ideas. And I'm like, how can we bring us all together and like function like a well-oiled machine? Like, let's get things out there, let's create. And so that's been something heavily on my mind. But I'm actually moving back to, like, I've moved back to Los Angeles, so most of my time has been spent like setting up my apartment. That was
Your
stressful.
whole life there, yes.
Oh my goodness. But I'm almost over the hill. And so it's nice to be back in Los Angeles, but it was also really great spending time with family in Vancouver. But it's warmer here, I gotta be honest.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
lot warmer.
much warmer weather. That's what we like, especially
Right.
being right by the water. So jealous. I need to be actually
It's super
make
nice.
sure one goal in my life I got to live by the water at some time.
You will.
Eventually.
I believe it for you 100%.
Thank you, Jessica.
You just
Thank
put it out there, it'll happen. Yeah.
Yep.
And then with acting, I'm really excited for my next character. Like, when you like feel something coming, it's like, oh, like I'm about to get, it's like in the back of my head, but I just need to read it first.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Manifest it into your life.
There you go. I think that's what brought that thought to the other thought.
Yep.
I was like, that's true.
Law of attraction, manifest it.
Right.
As long as you've got it, as you just said about me being by the water. Yep, you've put it out there. It'll happen.
Put it out there. Yeah. There we go. There's my manifestation for the day.
Well, when it does happen, which, it will, as we just said, come back on the show and tell me about it, all right?
Show, yeah.
Yes.
And I'll be like, we did that. We made that happen.
We did that. We manifested
a beach behind you.
I know. We're so powerful, all right?
Right.
And just have another huge girl chat. That'll be so much fun.
I love a good girl chat.
Well, it's been so much fun. But before we move on to the game that I quickly mentioned to you before we started recording, what advice would you give to our audience who might want to follow their dreams of becoming an actor? You
gotta love it. If you have something to share, some people have that outlet through a pen, some people through a microphone, an instrument, through a paintbrush, some people through doing math, through science, but if yours is an emotional, like, I need to convey something that only my face can do, my body can do, go for it, because you have a story to tell. And if you have a story to tell, no one can stop you. And so you just gotta love it. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if you're good enough. Give it a shot and study. Always join an acting class before you get into acting, because you want to make a good impression with casting directors and, this entirely new industry for you. And look for a mentor too. Mentors are really good, because there's going to be a lot of people, if you want to come to this audition, pay $500, like, little things that you're like, is this normal? Yeah. Where someone would go, no, that is not normal. Like, be careful of things like that. And it's not something that's going to be, you go for a couple auditions and you book the job, and now, you're starring on your own show. Like, it's a very long process. I probably went to, I think it was like maybe 50. I don't know how many auditions my mother and I went to when I was a kid, but I remember my mom was like, are you having fun? Like, we're just going to all these auditions. And I just wouldn't book. And so we actually, and this is where, God comes into play. One more audition. And I went, okay, fine. And I booked the audition, and then I didn't stop booking. But even then, it was a lucky case. Some people don't book at all, but if you believe in yourself, like, you will find an outlet to share your story. It might not be brought to you, but you can make it happen. No one can tell you that you can't do something, no matter where you came from, what you do. Like follow your dreams, as cliche as that is, but do it. Why not? If you fail, try again. If you still love it after you fail, you're in the right industry.
Oof. That gave me goosebumps. That was such a great line.
I love a good goosebump. Nice.
Good goosebump. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. I really hope people do take that on board and go follow their dreams as well. It doesn't have to be acting, guys. It can be anything. Just make sure
many
you
outlets.
wake up every day loving what you do. That's my
Absolutely.
absolute favorite quote. Because you only live once.
I agree.
Why wake up hating
That's another great one.
Oh, thank you.
Exactly.
I can't take credit for
You're
that one,
doing
though.
it right now. You're literally doing it right now.
Exactly. See, I made it happen,
you practice
guys.
what you preach.
11 years ago.
There you
Crazy.
go.
I still can't believe I just said that. 11 years. Whew. Anyway.
That's impressive.
I know. Sticking for something that long. What?
Right? But you're making it happen. You know, some things like that take time.
Exactly. Definitely does. But it's so worth it. It's like, as you just said, all those auditions. But all you need is that one break, guys. For me, it was just that one interview to bring all the fans in, you know?
Totally.
Well, I think it's time to have even more fun now, Jessica, with a game. Yes, it is time for the legendary 2-minute hot seat. So, what we do is I ask you various questions, and you just have to pick your preference. So it's like dogs or cats, singing or dancing. And when you have to answer as many questions in 2 minutes as possible. So I'll have a stopwatch. And then when we finish...
Do you have like a high record? Do you have like a...
Yes, I was just about to say that. So when we finish, I got a leaderboard here. And we see where you sit on the leaderboard up against everyone else. So I'm sure you want to beat your former Heartland co-star, Graham Wardle. He answered
for sure.
51 questions. So as long as you beat that, you'll beat him.
He's like, yeah, I can see him there. Okay. I'll give it my go.
And I did also play, because some other interviews I just didn't have time for it with other Heartland interviews, but Gabriel Hogan also played it, who played Peter in Heartland.
Oh, no. Gabe is great.
He answered 49, so he was just a little bit under Graham. And Kevin McGarry.
That probably really bothered him.
Yeah, who played Mitch, Michelle's nearly husband. Answered
He's awesome. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, they all are. Answered 48. So 48, 49, and 51.
Wow.
Let's try and get 50, like at least 51 though, hey? Yeah? Girl power.
52. 52.
We gotta beat Graham.
I'm very indecisive. This is not... Today I was asked, do you want a hot coffee or a cold coffee? And I was like, you just asked me the worst question. We are going to be here all day. Yeah. So this will... we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, well, you got to be quick for this if you want to get the 52 questions. And if there's like one that you're like, neither, just say neither. That's fine. I'll allow that.
Got
it. Do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
iPhone or Samsung?
iPhone.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Rap or rock music?
Rap.
Rock or pop?
Rock.
Pop or country?
Country.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach or pool?
Pool.
Sun or rain?
Sun.
Skiing or snowboarding?
Snowboarding.
Comedy or action?
Comedy.
Blondes or brunettes?
Blondes.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Sunglasses or hat?
Sunglasses.
SUV or convertible?
SUV.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
PlayStation or Wii?
PlayStation.
Clean or messy?
Clean.
Singing or dancing?
Dancing.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Italian or Chinese food?
Italian.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Kim Kardashian or Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson.
Johnny Depp or Will Smith?
Will Smith.
Mall or online shopping?
Online shopping.
Cinema or home movie?
Cinema.
Cake or cookies?
Cake.
Christmas or your birthday?
Christmas.
Cinema or home movie? Oh, ice cream or gelato, sorry.
Gelato.
Cookies or cookie dough?
Cookies.
Family or friends?
Family.
Night or day?
Night.
Bus or train?
Train.
Straight or curly hair?
Curly.
Eye color blue or brown?
Both.
Vampire or werewolf?
Werewolf.
Texting or calling?
Texting.
Los Angeles or New York?
Oh, Los Angeles.
Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
TV or movies?
TV.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Snow or surf?
sir.
And we're out of time. Oh my goodness. That was intense.
The New York, Los Angeles one. That killed me.
Like a couple of extra seconds there because I screwed up there. So I was like, okay, I'll give you a couple of extra seconds there.
Did I get 45?
Oh, so close. You've answered 42.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, no.
It just means you have to come back on the show. Now you kind of know what to expect.
Practice.
You'll start practicing, like, making decisions. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm going to run that through with people right now. I'm going to be like, hey, can you quiz me?
Can you, like,
really quickly
the questions?
Yeah. I need to beat 51.
Need build 52.
All right, 52.
Yeah,
how long
great.
Was that? How many? What like time did you?
That was in 2 minutes. So I gave you like 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna practice, and then when I'm back, you're gonna be like, whoa.
I'm gonna be like, wow, I can't even keep up with you.
Right. I'm gonna be asking the questions and answering the questions. What? So fast.
You can if you want. That would be impressive.
But that would also be kind of against the point of the game. So
yeah, exactly.
That's fun.
That would just make the time even longer for you. But I'm glad you had fun. People love that game. And
so much fun.
For a while, like I was doing more interview, like a longer interview than actually the game. And I was like, and people were asking where it went. And I was like, okay, I'll bring it back. And people love it. So thank you very much. I'm glad you had fun.
Like I lost and it was still fun. So there you go.
Exactly.
Losing can be fun.
I do that with the leaderboard because people love that competitive element. It's not just if they had as long as they want. Yeah. It's great for the fans. They get to know you better if their answers are actually honest. And then there's a competitive fun element for it. Yeah, I love the game too. It's my favorite part of the interviews.
Yeah, I had a great time.
But as we're getting to the end of the interview now, Jessica, it's gone very quickly. I'm like, oh my God, it's been an hour.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
To not be hard on myself. Be easy. Be easier on yourself.
Yeah,
definitely. Because, I look back and it's like I was self-conscious about how I look and all of these things. And it really had nothing to do with what matters. It was just inhibiting me from pursuing things more freely. So it's like insecurities and self-consciousness. It's unavoidable at sometimes, but nobody is judging you the way you're judging yourself. So I would definitely be like, hey, Jess, like, just chill. You're fine. Be good to yourself. That's what I would say.
I always say confidence is something we constantly have to work on. Because some days we're really confident, some days we're not. It's being human. I'm sure everyone can relate to what you just said.
Right. And I just don't think that the confidence should derive from what you look like that day.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's something, especially as an actress, I can get caught up in, like, why did I make that face? Oh, I look weird. And I'm like, you're 14 years old. Chill.
Yeah.
No one cares.
You're young.
No one cares.
Child.
Yeah. Just be happy.
Yeah. And before we go, if our audience want to contact you, find out what you're up to in the future, check out the new movies, TV shows, whatever, where should they go? Where should we go follow you?
Instagram. My Instagram account is Jessica Kelsey with a K, Amlee, Amlee. So it's my full name. And then I also have JessicaKelseyAmlee.com as well.
Okay, perfect.
So those are good outlets, or IMDb.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Here.
Everything is on here.
Rave It Up. There you go.
Come back on Rave It Up. I definitely want to have you back. So any future projects, you let me know.
You're awesome. You're very good energy. And I'm glad we finally got to do this and I can join the alumni and Rave It Up.
Exactly. The Heartland alumni. Like, who haven't I interviewed now? I think the only person I haven't interviewed yet is the girl who plays Georgie. And that's just like,
Alicia.
Come on, Alicia. Everybody wants you on.
She'll get there.
I'll just get the fans just to nag her, guys? Just nag Alicia for me. But otherwise, I've had everyone else on, so that's great.
That's pretty impressive.
I know. That is dedication right there, Jessica. Yeah.
That is dedication.
I'm
Journalism.
really glad that you had a lot of fun today and everyone has learnt a lot about you. I know I have. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, and to all your fans of the podcast, thanks for listening or watching, and have a blessed day.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, please visit our website, raveituptv.com. Also there, you will see a link to go check out our book, Knowing What I Know Now, as well as a mini ebook I wrote last year called Staying Strong, Finding Inner Peace During Hard Times. And if you want to further support Rave It Up, which we really appreciate anything that you can do to support us, please visit patreon.com/Rave It Up. You can pick a membership tier that works with you and your budget for as little as $4 a month. That's like a coffee, right, guys? You can get some behind-the-scenes content and free stuff from us. So please check it out. But for now, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time in the next video for another amazing interview. Bye, guys.